Tonight we're going to talk about, is a color revolution coming to the United States of America? And color revolution is many things, but it is top down, bottom up, inside out. We've talked about it for years. It is the way we have overthrown countries, and now I believe our own country is operatives in and out of our own country and our own government have declared a war on America and our republic itself. There was a declaration of war that was announced over the weekend, and it comes from those who support Hamas. Those who make war do not deserve peace. The Palestinian resistance continues to escalate against the Zionist state and its institutions, and so are we. We will take this building. We refuse to allow normal life to continue while violence is done to our communities here and everywhere. We must escalate our actions against all governments, institutions, and corporations who participate in, profit off of, and enable genocide. There must be a consequence to their property, income, reputation, privacy, and safety. This is what they're planning now for the summer and the fall. And one of the guys who has really been on top of this and has been studying I think about 100 different groups like this is Ryan Mauro. He's a Capital Research Center investigative researcher and a counterterrorism expert and friend of the show. Ryan, welcome to the program.
Hey, Glenn. Thanks so much for having me back.
Thank you. All right. So who is this group, and what are the groups that you're looking at? I saw something about a month ago from you that said that you were shocked when you got in and started seeing the results come back because they're not hiding their connections to Hamas, a terrorist group.
Right. It's really remarkable in how it's different from the past rioting that we saw destroy parts of American cities in recent years, in that their extremism is just so in your face. And the groups that are behind the student protests and all of these actions that are happening off campus, the vast majority of them are openly communist or socialist, and then they define it in a way that means communist, anarchists, or they have Islamist extremist ties. And you go to their Facebook accounts, you go to their Instagram accounts, and it's easy to see they're praising the October 7th attacks. And that's what really surprised me was that we're used to this situation where the extremist groups kind of come in and hijack something and cause a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And our line on our side is usually, look at how many of them are involved. It's a higher percentage than you realize. This is wholly dominated by militant revolutionists, as well as Islamist extremists, like all of them kind of coming together under this anti-colonial revolutionary narrative. And they're saying that like every day, that this is not just about Israel at all.
So you're saying, I want to get this straight, communists, anarchists, Islamists are all coming together to work to destroy maybe the Western way of life.
Yes, and they've worked together before, but now it's like a full integration. Yeah. I mean, there's groups that will consist of all those components working together and calling for violence. And I mean, just the other day, like 2 days ago, I saw one of these major anarchist groups online called the Escalate Network that a lot of them follow, just blatantly said that all free people should send the New York Times editorial board to hell, saying that was their obligation to actually do that, make them go to hell, like kill them. And that just shows like how little reporting is on this, because they have thousands of followers. Someone besides me should have caught that.
So what are we in for this summer and this fall?
It's going to be bad. And it might be, it's very possible that you see riots like we've seen before, but what they're talking about more are lots of what they call direct actions, which are usually illegal protests in their minds, but it's more like sabotage. So they're talking about, especially the first week of July, blocking ports, trying to interrupt any type of shipping that could be going to Israel. A lot of anti-police activity and plans, a lot about fighting them, doing de-arrests, as they call them, where the police go to detain someone and everybody swarms and attacks and frees the person. And then there's just a lot of chatter about the DNC convention in August. And I think
this is 1968. This is 1968 all over again. All over again. Is it not?
Yeah, they're going to regret choosing Chicago. Chicago has the largest Palestinian population in the United States, and it's like a headquarters for all these radical groups where they come together. I don't know who their security consultant was, but man, did they make a bad call.
Wow, I didn't know that about Chicago. I knew about Michigan and Minnesota being, very Arab in nature now, but not Chicago. That's the largest population of Palestinians.
Yep, of just solely Palestinians, not Arab overall or Muslim overall. Yeah.
So let me ask you, the president is doing everything he can to try to get the Muslim and Arab vote, and they're saying, no, move on from Biden. Are they serious about that, do you think? I hate to make this about politics, but are they serious, or is that just... What'd you say?
Yeah, they're serious. I thought it was just a fake at first, but now I'm seeing the passion they're putting into it and how much credibility they're investing in it. And I think a lot of them obviously are just saying it and are going to, switch back to them when the time comes. But the people that are really into this type of stuff, this anti-Israel stuff, I actually do think they're going to move away. But here's the thing, and this is important for the DNC convention. They're going to make it appear as if they're actual Biden voters and part of his base. But a lot of them, the anarchist communist types, hated him, and before him, Obama and the Democrats to begin with. They're not actually his base. So they're going to freak out saying, look at all these voters, all these organizations are coming against us. You never had them to begin with, the most of them.
So why are unions involved in so much of this stuff all over the world? Like SEIU is over in Ukraine. They seem to be involved in these things. Are there any unions involved in this that you've tracked down funding from?
Yeah, parts of a few, like different sections of them, but not wholesale. It's certainly not like a major labor movement. There's some coalitions that will say like Labor for Palestine, but then you look at them and it's the same groups that are popping up under every other coalition name that are pro-Hamas and actually not representative of any type of labor movement. But yeah, there was one, I'm trying to see, like United Auto Workers, Local 4811, did the walkout at the University of California. That's an example. And why this happens, they just say they care about the issue. I don't know what the underlying reason is. Like, I don't know if I can make a blanket judgment about them. But one of the other things that it's important for people to know is that the anarchist elements, the real militant elements, are moving away from taking credit in the name of any organization. They just want the movement to take credit. And that's what happened in my article that just came out about in Chicago when they seized the Institute of Politics and made that declaration of war.
That's terrifying.
Right? Yeah.
Terrifying.
It was so blatant. And
it is. There's one thing to express but you can't incite violence. And in my opinion, that is the clearest incitement of violence that I've seen in America for a very, very long time. And is anybody looking into this? Is anybody questioning anything?
I know that I've provided intelligence to the authorities before, and it's been acted upon, but I don't know how far-reaching an overall effort is. It's obviously hard to get a window into that. But yeah, people will say, oh, well, it's an anonymous group. It's just that small handful of students. But if you see how the social networks behind all this operates, the statement came out on a major anarchist group's social media page. Then it went to other major ones. Like, no, it is reflective of the movement. And their objectives, like they say, is overthrowing this system. And whenever you see one of these far left groups calling the U.S. Turtle Island, what they're referring to is basically sort of like how they say Israel is occupied Palestine. They're saying that this is occupied Native American land. What they're saying is that the U.S. has no right to exist. just as Israel has no right to exist. That's what that's saying.
Jeez. Ryan, I appreciate it. Let's stay in touch this summer because I have a feeling you're going to be very, very, very busy. But we'd like to get on your calendar whenever you have updates on all of this. How involved is Open Society Foundation?
What's hard with researching the grants is that there's all sorts of ways to hide money, but when it comes to the grants and what you can get from public records, is that groups like Open Society, George Soros, Tides Foundation, all these really big liberal groups, they give out grants and you don't really know necessarily how they're being implemented. And so they might give a bunch of money to a pro-Hamas group, but then they can still say, oh, well, it didn't go to the protest or it didn't go to sabotage. And
but still, you're giving money to a pro-Hamas group. I think that's bad enough. I mean, maybe my standards are...
They'll say, oh, we didn't know they condemned terrorism. Same thing that we've been hearing since 9/11 when pro-terrorism groups are like, no, we condemn terrorism, but their definition of terrorism is just a completely different one.
Yes. Ryan, thank you so much. God bless. Keep up the good work.
All right, thanks, Glenn.
You bet. Ryan Mauro, he's a Capital Research Center investigative researcher and counterterrorism expert. Been on the program several times. And we're going to go through some of these organizations and NGOs that are funding the color revolutions around the country and show you some of the our researcher, chief researcher Jason Bottrill, has been working on this for 3 months, maybe, and we have really done our homework on this. You need to see it because you need to know what's coming this summer. I think Ryan's exactly right about Chicago, God help us, and the fall. And these aren't the only groups that are going to start popping up. They are going to start popping up on different subjects, and they're all going to look like they're disconnected, and they're all going to cause chaos. And God help us. God help us if somebody, either side, is shot and killed in this time period. That's the only thing we're missing from '68. Really is assassinations. And God help us. God save the Republic.